Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Amy Song and I'm the chairman. And William Wan is the timekeeper. This debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators who are Mr. Hemsley, Ms. Boyd-Turner and Ms. Jihan. The topic for this debate is that the merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. The affirmative team seated to my right is Pembroke Green and the negative team seated to my left is from Pembroke Blue. The speaking time for this debate is 6 minutes with a double bell at the end of the speaking time. A warning bell will ring once at 5 minutes. A continuous bell will ring 30 seconds after the final bell. I declare, please switch off your mobile phones and other electronic devices. I declare this debate open. I call upon the first affirmative speaker, Tim Dong.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that the merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. We, the affirmative team, strongly believe this to be true. First, I will define the topic before giving an overview of our team's case. The University of Adelaide and UniSA are currently 2 of the leading universities in South Australia, with the former having over 27,000 students and the latter having over 37,000. We define the merger to be the plans for the 2 universities to combine into one massive union, to be called Adelaide University. The plan is already approved by the SA Parliament, and it is scheduled for the merger to happen at the start of 2026 if approved. Finally, a good idea is described by Oxford as potentially desirable or beneficial course of action. Therefore, we define the topic to be the schedule combining the University of Adelaide and UniSA into Adelaide University is a desirable or beneficial course of action. I will be presenting 2 points today. Firstly, I will argue how the merger will create a larger and better university that will achieve a higher ranking. My second point will discuss how this improved university will provide more options to students whilst maintaining quality. Our second speaker will talk to you about how the university can offer both academic and practical courses. His second point will discuss the economic benefits and the long-term results of this merger. Our third speaker, Zach, will rebut and sum up our team's case. My first point will argue how the merger will create a university with higher quality facilities and more resources. According to the 2024 QS University rankings, the University of Adelaide ranks 89th and the UniSA ranks 326th. The University of Adelaide has more staff, funding, and is more focused on high-ranking academic students. UniSA, on the other hand, is a lot newer, but they have 6 campuses instead of 3, and are focused on practical skills. From this, it can be seen that the strengths of each university complement the weaknesses of the other. The University of Adelaide needs more campuses and resources, whilst UniSA would like the historical reputation and the ranking of the University of Adelaide. By merging the unis, students will now have access to the academic quality of the Uni of Adelaide, whilst retaining the practical skills learnt from UniSA. A bigger university has many benefits. According to the Chancellor of the University of Adelaide, Catherine Branson, the academic landscape currently in SA is fragmented, as the individual universities are too small to do anything globally impactful. For example, a bigger collective budget means that it will be easier to conduct large-scale research. When it comes to universities, this large-scale, world-class research is what attracts better professors and more students. Furthermore, by merging the unis, there will be better course options for students. If both unis have the same course, then the new course will combine the best aspects from each uni. For example, let's take a biology course as an example. The University of Adelaide might have better professors, but UniSA might have better facilities. Instead of choosing between the 2 unis, students can now take the biology course with the better professors from one uni, in the better facilities from the other uni. A win-win situation. There will be many examples of such circumstances after the merger, where the best of both unis have to offer will be combined for the overall benefit of the students. Due to this, Adelaide University will naturally attain a higher ranking than both of its constituents. University ranking is determined by factors such as reputation, citations, and research output. The university will improve on all of these metrics, as well as providing better teaching to the students. According to university analysis, Stephen Matchett, the University will rise at least 15 places for the University of Adelaide's current ranking, with the potential to rise even higher given time. Therefore, given that the merger will increase the university's ranking and provide better courses for students, then why isn't this a good idea? My second point will argue how the merger will offer more variety to students whilst also upholding the quality. Detractors of the merger state that the quality of the new uni will be averaged out or diluted by UniSA. However, this is not true. When the unis merge, the professors and staff from both unis will have the time to integrate and learn from each other, meaning the quality of professors' teaching will improve over time. Furthermore, a course will have separate versions depending on the needs of the student. Just because the unis are being merged, it doesn't mean everything will be averaged out. New courses will be designed with students' diverse needs in mind. The Uni of Adelaide is more academic focused, whilst UniSA is more practical. The new uni will cater an approach for both practical and academic students. Suppose a student wishes to do a law course because of its practical applications. We could offer them a more hands-on UniSA style course with UniSA professors. If they want to do law academically, we could offer them a more rigorous Uni of Adelaide style course with Uni of Adelaide professors. Not all law students will take the exact same course with randomized professors from either uni. UniSA professors will take the more practical focused students, while Adelaide Uni professors will take the more academic students. Most unis have a similar system to this, such as Stanford, Uni Melbourne, or Singapore Uni, and it will be easy for the merger to offer these options. The fact is, a larger university is not about uniformity. It is about offering more variety within each subject to cater for a wider spectrum of students' needs. It only makes sense that courses will be designed and professors will be allocated in a way to benefit students' specific needs. Therefore, how will the quality of the university fall? Merging the unis gives them an opportunity to learn from each other and cooperate on large projects. Their courses and quality will not be averaged out. Rather, there will be more options for a larger spectrum of student needs. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, that is why we, the Affirmative team, strongly believe that the merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. Thank you.
Call upon the first negative speaker, Patrick H.D.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Chairman. The topic for tonight's debate is that the merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. We, the negative team, believe this statement to be false. We agree with the definition provided by the affirmative team. However, we disagree with that argument. The first affirmative speakers tried to argue that the strengths of each university would be combined. However, that is not the case. The merger would instead lead to a diluted and mediocre university. I will elaborate on this in my second point. He also tried to argue that current universities in South Australia are too small to achieve a global ranking. This is, however, outright incorrect. The top 5 globally ranked universities, such as Stanford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT, and more, all have less than 27,000 students, which is what the University of Adelaide currently has. Now, to my team's arguments. Tonight, I will present 2 points. How this merger is overly ambitious, yet risky and not properly assessed. My second point is about how this merger will not create a more effective or better university. Our second speaker, Lara, will talk about how the merging of universities would impact students and jobs. Our third speaker, Ollie, will rebut and sum up our team's case. My first point is about how this merger is a bad idea because it is risky, ambitious, and not properly risk assessed. According to an official summary from the University of Adelaide, this merger will cost anywhere from $450 to $650 million in so-called one-off investment costs, which includes both what the universities are putting forward as well as what the South Australian government has committed towards the merger. To quote UniSA Vice-Chancellor David Lloyd, this merger would put the two universities into an unacceptable risk position. The South Australian government has committed $450 million of taxpayer funding towards the merger, which isn't inherently bad. Investing in education is usually a good idea. The problem with this investment arises from the fact that As of the commitment of the $400 million sum, not a single person from the government had read the full official business case for the university merger, as it was kept private by the universities. What the two universities have made public is a comprehensive summary of the business case, but in 28 pages, less than half a page is dedicated to risk consideration. University committees have only had a couple hundred words of potential risks presented to them. Furthermore, the state government's higher education unit to this day has not even done a risk assessment on this merge. Even if the merger may provide economic benefits, as the affirmative team may argue, how can it possibly be a good idea to invest $500 million into something that has not even been properly risk assessed? Now, to my second point, how this merge will create a sloppy and worse university. If we are trying to achieve a better, more efficient, and globally recognized university, then a merger is definitely not the direction to take. As of 2021, UniSA has over 37,000 enrolled students, and the University of Adelaide has around 29,000 students. The top 5, like I mentioned in my rebuttal, the top 5 universities in the world, according to the Times Higher Education Report, are Oxford, Harvard, Stanford, Cambridge, and MIT. Both the University of Adelaide and UniSA both individually have more students than every one of those universities. So, what is it about these, if not size, what is it about these universities that ranks them so high? There are many, many factors, but just as an example, the staff-to-student ratio of Harvard University is 1:7. Meanwhile, the staff-to-student ratio of UniSA is 1:21, and the staff-to-student ratio of the University of Adelaide is 1:22. While there will be more resources between the two universities, there will also be more students. Merging the two universities will not increase any ratios. It will likely lower them as duplicates are deemed redundant and lose their positions, as our second speaker will discuss. Merging will only create a bloated, diluted, and mediocre university. What if instead we invested the $500 million into improving the staff-to-student ratio, or investing in any other factors that would actually improve the university? If we are trying to create a more globally recognized university, then a merger is also not the way to go. The University of Adelaide is already in the global top 100, but merging with UniSA could only decrease the ranking. The disruption caused by the merger would only lead to worse results. To directly quote Federal Education Minister Christopher Pyne, if the University of Adelaide was to merge with the University of South Australia, we would lose overnight a top 100 university in the world because they'd fall down the rankings immediately. It would take a decade to recover, end quote. It is not size that attracts international students, but rather ranking. The merger would not help with that. Now, the affirmative team may argue that this merger is necessary following the decline of these two universities after the pandemic. However, the University of Adelaide and UniSA endured the pandemic much better than many other universities. While the University of Adelaide and UniSA paid off their debts long ago and have increasing profits again, there are still universities such as Murdoch and Curtin University in Western Australia that are still in debt today. The universities in South Australia are not failing, and it does not take a complete merge of two universities to invest and improve them. So, that is why we, the negative team, believe that the merger between the University of Adelaide and University of South Australia is not a good idea. To conclude, this merger is not only overly ambitious and yet not even risk assessed, which can't possibly be a good idea, but this merger will not even create a more effective university. It is not necessary, and the money would much better be invested into the low-risk option of improving existing universities. This is a solution in search of a problem. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Jason Kane.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that the merger between the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea.
we, the affirmative team, strongly agree with this statement. First, I will rebut some of the negative team's points, and then I'll speak to you about my points. The negative team's first speaker has tried to tell you that the plan is not risk assessed yet. The key word here is yet. Just because a current plan is still in its infant years for development, this doesn't mean the entire idea, abstract concept of the merger is necessarily a bad idea. Furthermore, he has also stated that the rankings will drop once the unis get merged, and it will take upwards of a decade for this to recover. However, not only will the rankings recover given time, as our first speaker stated, according to a top university analyst, the ranking of the university will actually increase by roughly 15 places within the first few years of its inception, and it will rise even more. I'll be presenting 2 points tonight. Firstly, I will argue how this merger will attract more students, especially from overseas. My second point will discuss all of the long-term benefits of this merger, such as economic benefits and the rebranding of South Australia. My first point will discuss how the merger will attract more students by providing a fusion of academic and practical courses. Our first speaker already spoke to you about how the quality of Adelaide Uni will increase after the merge. This is an important factor if we want to attract more students from overseas. Since the new university will have more resources, a better ranking, and better quality teaching, then why wouldn't this make Adelaide a more attractive destination for students? However, the merger is also not solely focused on improving rank and academic achievements. We are not trying to create the next Harvard. Adelaide University will also have more practical courses due to UniSA. In the national and global academic landscape, institutions that excel academically whilst also providing practical training is exceedingly rare. For example, neither UniMelb, Sydney Uni, nor New South Wales Uni have vocational training nor heaps of practical training. This merger will therefore exploit a specific gap in the current university market for high-ranking universities that can also offer practical work experience. This unique blend of Adelaide Uni's academic quality plus UniSA's practical departments will set Adelaide apart from the eastern states unis and offer international students another option. According to the latest government report, there are currently 230,000 international students in Australia who are doing a VET or a practical training course, over a third of all the international students in Australia. According to the organisation Access Matters, theoretical knowledge and real-life practice are both primary pillars for having a truly valuable learning experience, especially for international students. Offering both academic and practical courses is something especially appealing to international students, and it will make us stand out against the Eastern unis. This merger will therefore bring in more international students, because the distinct holistic approach will give the merger an advantage over other unis. This is a concept that the negative team will be very familiar with. Ex unitate vires. In unity comes strength. My second point will argue how this merger will provide many long-term benefits to the economy of South Australia. Having a strong and prestigious university will greatly improve SA and Adelaide as a state and city. Firstly, it will help the brain drain. Why would domestic students want to go to the eastern states when there's already a nation-leading university here at home? Furthermore, as explained in my first point, this merger will attract many international students and establish Adelaide as an educational hub in the nation. Students are pretty much cash injections into an economy, and they are contributing. When a student stays in or comes to Adelaide to attend one of its universities, they are contributing tremendous amounts of value to the local economy due to tuition fees, rent, and commodities. Following economic principle, having more people to spend money in SA enlarges the consumer market and therefore stimulates local business due to an increase in demand. According to universitiesaustralia.com, international students contribute roughly $32 billion to the Australian economy per year. By attracting more of these students to South Australia, as I have explained in my first point, more of this money will be directed to South Australia.
According to projections from the universities, this merger will attract an extra 6,000 international students by 2034. The Research Council for the merger has also predicted that it will generate an additional $500 million and 1,200 jobs for SA in the next 10 years. This is a tremendous contribution to our economy. Even though the merger will cost money and potentially jobs in the short term, even a mild success will balance this out in the long term. Unlike the costs of a merger, which are one time, a university will constantly benefit the economy for the foreseeable future. Having a good, decently sized university within a city defines us. Universities are not only run for education. Having a good uni in a city is an investment made by the taxpayer that will generate higher skilled workers and boost the economy through more international students. By merging the two unis into a better university, we are making a commitment to the long-term development of South Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, that is why we, the Affirmative team, strongly believe that the merger between the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. Thank you.
Upon the second negative speaker, Lara Kidman.
Good evening, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that the merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. We, the negative team, strongly disagree with this statement. I will begin by rebutting the opposition team's points. The opposition's first speaker stated that merging the two universities will create a bigger and better uni with more resources and rank higher. This is most certainly incorrect, as the merge could not possibly rank higher. The opposition's first speaker has mistaken size and resources for quality. Students with particular interests will pick the uni most suitable for them. Why on earth would we need to merge them? A larger uni is simply detrimental to a tight-knit, supportive uni with already rich community catered directly for individuals. A merge risks diluting these rich atmospheres that are separate for a reason. The opposition's second speaker stated that the merger will attract international students due to the higher quality teaching and combined practical and academic courses. This statement is incorrect, as it is based on little evidence, and as Patrick, our first speaker, has already mentioned, a larger uni dilutes educational atmospheres, and the Uni of Adelaide already ranks so highly on their so-called academic courses that they must be combined with practical skills to be in the top 100 unis in the world. Now to my first argument. A merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA would be detrimental to the quality of education available to students. The merged universities would become the nation's 5th largest by number of students, while an amalgamated university may have more resources and staff altogether. It would mean that effective faculty-to-student ratios would be skewed, as duplicate staff are inevitably cut. It would also weaken the sense of community, devaluing the students' education. Smaller universities can foster a nurturing environment, enabling active engagement and valuable networking opportunities. Merging would dilute this atmosphere, making it challenging for students to pursue specialties and extracurriculars. Discarding this advantage through a merger is simply impractical. Strong student-faculty bonds are crucial for a nurturing learning environment. Professors offering tailored guidance and mentorship is key. As mentioned by Patrick, our first speaker, top universities like Harvard create supportive settings exemplified by a low student-to-teacher ratio, 7:1, and small class sizes, on average around 12, ensuring a balance between resources and quality education. With overloaded classes, faculty cannot provide effective learning for all students, creating a disconnect. This devalues the tertiary education experience. Additionally, higher education is not just about acquiring knowledge. It is also about pursuing one's academic passions and interests. This other half of tertiary education is provided through student resources that would become strained under the weight of such a large uni. Overall, this hinders students' personal growth and leadership, development opportunities, which sacrifices a well-rounded university experience, ultimately branding a merger as a bad idea. Now to my second argument. A merge would result in significant job cuts among administrative staff. The SA government has stated that there would be no net job losses as a consequence of creating the combined university. This promise only refers to no dismissed staff within the first 18 months of the new university. Therefore, their statement about no net job losses simply cannot be true, as a merger would mean the presence of overlapping staff between the two universities. This is reinforced by the statement made by them, which said made by the uni, which said we can't give more certainty than to say that for a 4-year period we're going to have no forced redundancies, no retrenchments. This is also supported by a survey taken by the National Tertiary Education Union, which showed that only 25% support the merger among 1,100 staff. The fact that the staff at the respective universities are mostly in support against the merge means that they are at least worried about the impact it will have on their employment and their future careers. Additionally, the loss of faculty members due to a merger can have far-reaching consequences for the community. For example, if this merger was to occur, the McGill campus belonging to UniSA would be closed. Our research included a conversation with a member for Hartley, the Honourable Vincent Tarzia. He informed us of the incredible detriment that this merger would bring due to the impact on the local community. Many of the eastern suburb communities rely on the McGill campus grounds for, and we quote, a whole range of recreational activities, sports, occasions, gatherings, so it's a valuable amenity to the local area. There is already a lot of strain on the grounds, end quote. He also told us that the local community was not consulted and in relation to this merger. By merging unis, we are removing many campuses like this one, which are invaluable to the local communities. Also, experienced educators who are let go may seek opportunities elsewhere, which would lead to a brain drain from the local academic ecosystem. This would further devalue education in South Australia, impacting the academic world. In conclusion, the loss of experienced educators and administrative staff would have a ripple effect that impacts both the quality of education and the academic community as a whole. This underscores the severity of the issue, and it becomes evident that the merger between the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a bad idea. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Zachary Neal.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that the merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. We, the affirmative team, undoubtedly believe this statement to be true. As third speaker, I will begin by rebutting some of the negative team's points, followed by a summary of our team's case. To start, I will point out some of the flaws in the negative team's arguments. The negative team's first speaker, in his rebuttals, has compared this university to other universities like Oxford. We do agree that these universities do well, but we disagree that this comparison is fair. You're comparing to apples to fire trucks here. They may both be red, but that's where the similarities stop. These amazing universities are centered around the ideas of higher ranking. They are highly selective and produce many postgraduate students, as our second speaker mentioned. However, this new university is intended to instead expected to focus on a more even split. Lastly, whilst this new university does aim to and should rank higher, it is still not trying to compete with these very top universities, and we should treat it as such. The negative team's first speaker has tried to tell you that we should invest the money into the unis instead of spending on them. This point is flawed for many reasons. Firstly, the money put into it will come back, as the $500 million by 2034 statistic provided by our first speaker suggests. This is not likely if the money was put into the universities. Additionally, what good does putting the money into the universities do? It is a band-aid, short-term solution. As our second speaker outlined, Adelaide University has the ranking and reputation that UniSA wants, while UniSA has the campus and resources that Adelaide University needs. This shows that they will both benefit from each other, much more than if they were just given money. It is much deeper than that. The benefits here are greater than money. The fact is, putting the money into the university does not address the core issues that are addressed by this merger, as our first and second speakers outlined. Ex unitate vires. In unity comes strength. The negatives first speaker and second speaker in their rebuttals have tried to tell you that there will be a dip in international ranking and a lower quality education. As our second speaker argued, these small changes are short-term, not long-term. With any major change, there will always be a time of volatility and uncertainty. But when things are properly hashed out, the school's international rankings will increase. This is because, as our first and second speakers argue, both universities have what the others don't, meaning this combination of resources will enable the university to perform much better than the universities individually. This will occur through better facilities and, most importantly, better educators, which will be attracted by the new university, as our first speaker said. Additionally, the more you have, the more you can give, as our second speaker said, with the ability to teach both the hands-on approach that UniSA has and the lecture-based approach that Adelaide Uni has. The negative team's first speaker has tried to tell you that it is risky and expensive and not tested. However, this is false. Just in Australia, there have been other examples, like Monash, that have done extremely well. Even internationally, 4 of the 8 Ivy League schools, Harvard, Dartmouth, Brown, and UPenn, came from a merger. Even MIT, the no one in the world, or Imperial College London, the 6th came from mergers. Whilst it would be fallacious to say the same would happen, we can expect similar trends. Lastly, the affirmative team's mindset does not get us anywhere. We could have said the same for renewable energy, which was originally dismissed. However, the fact that it would work was there, and now it is used and very helpful. These facts are here with the merger, with the $500 million and the 1,500 jobs by 2034 that our first speaker introduced. The negative team's second speaker has tried to tell you that students will be negatively affected. The fact is, students will not be majorly affected, as at the end of the day, the resources will still be the same. There'll still be the same amount of students, there'll still be the same amount of teachers, there'll still be the same campus as if they were separate. The main difference will be, in the long term, there'll be more money and teachers, with the quality of the education increasing, as our first and second speakers argue. Additionally, as our second speaker stated, the merger allows for both unis' essays hands-on at Adelaide Uni's lecture approach, giving more choice. The negative team's second speaker has tried to tell you that people will lose jobs. This is blatantly untrue. Firstly, as the universities themselves and our second speaker stated, there have been a promise that no jobs will be lost until at least 2027. And this job loss will, whilst harsh, only be to allow for the best possible staff. Additionally, as our second speaker argued, by 2034, this will well be made up for, with 1,500 new jobs being predicted. Now, I will summarise our team's case. Our first speaker, Tim, spoke about how the merger will create a larger and better university that will achieve a high ranking. This is because both universities can account for what the others lacks, and this allows for higher rankings. He also spoke about how the merger will provide more variety to students whilst not falling in quality, with a more personalised experience for all. Our second speaker, Jason, spoke about how due to the better ranking and better recognition covered by our first speaker, there will be more international students coming to the university. This is beneficial as international money props up the economy. He also spoke about how many benefits that are long-term and will pay off eventually. This is because there are over 1,500 jobs and $500 million predicted to be made off this merger. In summation, The merger of Adelaide University and UniSA will undeniably prove to be a positive and transformative endeavour. By combining the contrasting strength of both universities, we are accounting for the downfalls of both institutions. Whilst the effects may not be immediate, how can we morally shut down the possible billions of dollars that would help our economy and the thousands of jobs supplied? The possibilities of this merger are endless, and we should not dismiss them. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Ollie Allen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Chairman. The topic for tonight's debate is that the merger of the University of Adelaide and UniSA is a good idea. We, the negative team, believe this statement to be false. Tonight, as third speaker, I will rebut some of the points put forward by the affirmative team before then summing up our team's case. Let us move to my rebuttal. The affirmative team has tried to tell you that this merger will give the two universities increased resources and facilities. While the promise of increased resources is enticing, there is a risk that resource allocation could become a contentious issue. Different departments and programs might have varying needs and priorities. This could lead to certain departments or facilities being neglected, ultimately harming the quality of education and student experience. The first speaker has also tried to tell you that this merger will give the university enhanced research opportunities. Collaborative research and projects can be pursued without the need for a complete merger. Establishing joint ventures and partnerships will allow both universities separate to maintain their autonomy while benefiting from collaborative efforts. The administrative complexities of a merger could slow down decision-making processes and delay research initiatives, negating their intended advantages. Additionally, the first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that by merging the two universities, creating one bigger university, it will improve reputation. Reputation isn't solely determined by size or the merger of institutions. It's built on a foundation of academic excellence, research, impact and student outcomes, which is what we see with the University of South Australia and the University of Adelaide being separate universities. A merger does not guarantee automatic improvements in these aspects. In fact, if not managed well, a merger could potentially tarnish the reputation of both universities due to unforeseen challenges. Furthermore, the affirmative team has also tried to tell you that this merger will guarantee broader course offerings. While diversifying course offerings is an admirable goal, it's important to consider the quality and relevance of these new courses. Rushing to introduce numerous new programs might compromise the academic rigour and dilute the overall educational experience. Maintaining high standards for all programs should be a priority, and this can be done with separate universities. The affirmative team's second speaker has tried to tell you that the merger will guarantee international attraction. Would it really attract more students if we had one larger university than if we had two separate universities, each offering diverse, different courses to cater to the specific needs of the students that we're bringing in? Hence, a merger is unnecessary. He's also tried to tell you that this merger will give some sort of economic benefits to offset the original losses of the merger. Each university has a distinct identity and culture that students, faculty and alumni have grown attached to. A merger will dilute these unique characteristics, leading to a sense of loss for stakeholders. This loss of identity will affect the alumni engagement and donations. Donations, particularly from alumni, are major sources of income for universities. For these two universities to merge would lead to a loss of connection from all stakeholders, leading to an overall decrease in the economic benefits. The affirmative team's third speaker
has also tried to tell you that this will be a free-flowing process that will benefit the students. However, the process of merging two institutions can result in significant disruptions for students, including changes in campus locations, altered faculty-student dynamics, and potential inconsistencies in course delivery. These disruptions can negatively impact the overall student experience and hinder the academic process. The Affirmative team has also tried to tell you that the Uni of Adelaide has facilities at UniSA that the UniSA don't, and vice versa. In the past, three previous attempts for a merge have been made and failed. Firstly, because Flinders, who originally were involved in the deal, pulled out, but then also because UniSA, who are now involved in this merger, pulled out themselves out of the decision. And it's no secret that UniSA are there to gain, stand to gain more from the merger. Hence, the whole idea of a merger is false. The third affirmative speaker based the majority of his rebuttals on the fact that the unis are making a profit in the future. We don't know this. There has been, as our first speaker outlined, there's been no risk assessment, there's been no information provided as to the profits that we'll be making. Now I move to our team summary. Our first speaker, Patrick, talked about how this merger is risky, poorly planned, and won't actually benefit the universities, but rather disrupt them. Our second speaker, Lara, spoke about how the merging of the two universities would have a devastating effect on the experience of the students and how it would cause job losses due to an overlapping staff and therefore negatively impacts the academic environment of South Australia and our economy. This merger is a solution searching for a problem. There has been no problem presented to this idea, and it's just an election promise with no backing. Thank you.
evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Firstly, before I go into the debate in general, just congratulations to both teams to get here. Just to reach a final is a fantastic achievement. No matter who goes forward from here, you both did really, really well to get this far, so congratulations. Tonight's debate was really, really hard fought from my point of view. At least both teams had fantastic points they brought up, and the rebuttal was excellent from both teams to sort of like quash each argument as it came through. Unfortunately, there only one team that goes through, and so with a unanimous decision, we've agreed that the affirmative side has won. We've also unanimously agreed that the speaker of the night is the third speaker for the affirmative team, Zachary. Thanks.
I call upon a member of the runner-up team to give a vote of thanks.
Yes, I'd like to thank Nazareth for hosting Pembroke for facilitating the debate, three adjudicators for adjudicating, the opposition, as annoying as you are, thank you, and of course to our teachers who have helped us prepare.
I call upon a member of the winning team to second that vote of thanks.
So firstly, I'd like to also thank Nazareth for providing us with the excellent campus. I'd like to thank the 3 adjudicators that came out tonight, as well as all the parents during such a cold day. And we would like to congratulate the negative team on also making it to the quarterfinals. And that debate was very close. And since we only had 1 week to prepare, so we would like to acknowledge their hard work in that week. And yeah, that was very challenging for both of us. So thank you.